Sally Field is 79 years old now. She is talking about Paul Newman. What she says does not feel like something surprising. It feels like she is just thinking about her life and all the things she learned. Sally Field was born on November 6, 1946 in Pasadena, California. Her family was in one, but they had a lot of emotional problems. Sally Field's mother, Margaret Field, was an actress. Her stepfather, Jock Mahoney, was a stuntman and an actor. He was very good at what he did. Sally Field grew up watching people like Paul Newman and other big stars in Hollywood. She learned a lot from them. She is still growing as a person. Sally grew up with the sounds of show business around her. This life was not easy. It was unstable, caused her a lot of emotional stress. These things had an effect on her personal life. Sally was a kid who did not have a lot of confidence. She did not think highly of herself. So she found that acting was not something she did for work. It was also a way for her to deal with her feelings. Acting was like a way for Sally to say things that she could not say in her life. It was like her language. Show business was a part of Sally's life, and acting helped her to express her feelings. Her career started early when she got the main part in the television show Gidget from 1965 to 1966. The show did not last long, but it immediately made Gidget and her a well-known television star, and people thought of her as a happy young girl. The Flying Nun show from 1967 to 1970 made people think of her that way more, and she became very popular, and everyone knew who Sally Field was. When the cameras were not rolling, Sally Field felt really unhappy. She said that the series made her famous. It also made her feel like she was not able to be creative. People thought of her as one thing, and they did not think she was very talented. The happy person that people saw on the series was not really her. Inside, she felt very different. It hurt her that people did not see the real her. The series gave her fame. The series also made her feel like people did not understand her. Field did not want to stay in a job that was easy, but did not let her grow. So she made a decision to leave being a star on television. This was a time when a lot of people would have wanted to keep their job. Field wanted to try something new, even if it was not safe. She wanted to be an actress, so she went to the Actors Studio to learn. The Actors Studio is a school where actors go to learn from the best teachers. Field learned from Lee Strasberg, who was a good teacher. She learned how to act in a way that felt real by using her feelings and experiences. Field learned to use the things that made her feel bad about herself to help her act. This way, the things that used to hold her back became things that helped her. Field was learning to be an actress, and she was taking classes at the Actors Studio to learn from people like Lee Strasberg. The Actors Studio and Lee Strasberg were helping Field to become an actress, and Field was working hard to learn from the Actors Studio and Lee Strasberg. This time was very important for her life and her career as a performer. She changed a lot in the 1970s. The 1970s were a time when she became a different performer. She was not the innocent girl anymore. She started taking on roles that required her to be very brave and genuine. The roles she took on in the 1970s demanded a lot of courage and authenticity from her as a performer. She became a movie actress with Sybil in 1976. This movie, Sybil, was about a woman who had a lot of problems because of identity disorder. Her performance in Sybil was very real. It was hard to watch. People who had only seen her on television before were really surprised. They did not expect to see her play a role like this. The people who write about movies and television noticed her performance in Sybil. She won an Emmy Award for Sybil. This award showed everyone that she was a talented actress. After Sybil, she did another movie called Norma Ray in 1979. Norma Ray was one of the movies she ever made. Sally Field was a woman from the South who worked in a textile mill and fought for workers' rights. She showed a lot of strength and stuck to what she believed in. People still remember how strong and proud she was. Sally Field won an award for her acting, and when she got up to say thank you, she said something that people still talk about today. She said, "You like me now, you like me." And it is one of the most famous things anyone has ever said when they won an Oscar. Sally Field's words were very emotional. People have been talking about them for a long time, but some people do not really understand what Sally Field meant. Field did not stop working after she did well. She wanted to do movie roles that made people think about what's normal, and that also made her think about how she feels. She won her Academy Award for the movie Places in the Heart in 1984. In this movie, she played a woman from Texas who lost her husband and was trying to take care of her family during a tough time called the Great Depression. Field showed that she is very good at acting because she can make people feel what her character is feeling without saying much. She can show that her character is strong without doing actions. Field can do this by using movements and not saying everything that her character is thinking. Places in the Heart was a deal for Field, and it showed what a great actress she is. These qualities were really important in her work, made her stand out in an industry that usually likes things that are loud and flashy. Her work had these qualities that people remembered, and it made her different from others in the industry. Field was really good at playing roles in the 1980s and 1990s. In the movie Steel Magnolias that came out in 1989, Field played a mother who was very sad. It was very sad to watch. This scene in Steel Magnolias is still remembered by people today. Then, in 1993, Field was in the movie Mrs. Doubtfire. In Mrs. Doubtfire, Field was funny and serious at the time, and that is what made the movie so good. Field showed that she could make people laugh in a comedy, like Mrs. Doubtfire, without making it seem fake. She was really good at acting in all sorts of movies. The woman moved easily from films to funny ones, and from small independent films to big box office successes. She always made sure her acting was real and genuine, not fake or pretending to be something it was not. The woman did this by grounding her performances in authenticity rather than artifice, which is a big word that means being fake. The woman was good at being real in her movie roles. Field kept doing work in movies and on television. She was in shows like ER, Brothers and Sisters, and Winning Time. People liked her in these shows. She got more Emmy Awards. This helped new people find out about her. She played Mary Todd Lincoln in the movie Lincoln in 2012. People really liked how she played this part because she was very good at showing her feelings. She knew a lot about the time period. She was nominated for an Academy Award for this role. This just showed again that Field is one of the actresses in America. The movie industry was always changing. Field still managed to stay important. She did this by picking roles that really meant something to people, roles that were honest and real, of just following what was popular at the time. Field chose roles that dealt with truth, and that is what kept Field relevant. Sally Field has a life outside of work that's just as complicated as her job. She got married to Stephen Craig in 1968. This was a time when she was still trying to figure out who she was as an actress. She was not a kid star anymore. The marriage did not work out. They got divorced in 1975. They had been apart for 2 years before that. Sally Field and Stephen Craig had 2 boys together. Their names are Peter Craig and Eli Craig. Both of them are people. Being a mother was a deal for Sally Field. It helped her remember what is important. It gave her a reason to keep going that had nothing to do with being famous in Hollywood. Sally Field thinks that being a mother is very important. In 1976, Sally Field started going out with Burt Reynolds. This was a deal, and lots of people knew about it. Sally Field and Burt Reynolds had a strong connection. They felt very deeply about each other, and things were often pretty rocky between them. This was because they are both strong-willed people, and they both had busy careers. Sally Field and Burt Reynolds made 4 movies together. They became one of the most famous couples in Hollywood. Even though Sally Field and Burt Reynolds broke up in 1980, they would still see each other from time to time before they finally went their ways in 1982. Sally Field said that being with Burt Reynolds was one of the things she has ever been through emotionally. It was a really big deal for Sally Field. Sally Field was looking for something. She married a movie maker named Alan Greisman in 1984. They had a boy together. His name is Sam. He was born in 1987. Being married made Sally Field feel like she had a family again. It did not work out, and they got divorced in 1994. Sally Field kept moving. She learned a lot about love and being on her own. She also learned what she was worth as a person. Sally Field learned all of these things from her experiences with marriage and family and love. When Sally Field is 79 years old, she thinks about her life, and Paul Newman is one of the people she remembers the most. It has been a time since they worked together on the movie Absence of Malice in 1981. When she talks about Paul Newman, she is very clear and honest. Sally Field says Paul Newman was the kind of person you would want him to be, and even more. To people, Paul Newman seemed like a really charming guy with blue eyes who was always cool and did the right thing. To Sally Field, Paul Newman was special in a different way. He did not try to be the center of attention or show off his importance. The man felt good about himself because he knew who he was. He understood what made him the person he is. His confidence came from knowing who he was, and that was a great thing for him. Newman was different from others in the movie business. He was a kind person, and it was just how he was. It was not like he was trying to show off. Field thought that this was why people liked him much when they saw him on screen. You could tell that Newman was a person, and that is why you trusted him. Field also thought that he worked hard. Newman did not just get by because he was famous or good-looking. He always gave his best in every scene. This made Field believe that a good actor is someone who is honest and not just trying to look good. Newman really cared about his work. It showed. There is a sadness when Sally Field talks about Paul Newman now. When Paul Newman died, she felt the world lost a person who always did the right thing. To Sally Field, Paul Newman represented a kind of man, someone who was honest and cared about people and did what he was supposed to do. What Sally Field learned from Paul Newman is really important. Paul Newman taught Sally Field that being successful does not mean anything if you do not help people. At 79 years old, Sally Field is saying something about Paul Newman, and it is not a big secret or surprising news about Paul Newman. It is the truth of someone who witnessed greatness up close and understood that it was defined not by fame, but by character. Knowing him, she says, made her want to be better too.